Monday, and today we're on to step 5 of how to finish better music faster. And today really is about better music and the speed at which you do it, because we're talking about what I call momentum. Now, to understand what I mean by momentum, we first have to understand the peak state of human consciousness, which is called flow. It's been called flow by a psychologist called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi back in the 70s or 80s. He did a study of over 10,000 people in all walks of life: milkmaids, chefs, musicians, business people, managers, academics, literally all walks of life, to ask them what it was that made them happy. And time and again they kept on talking about this state of being where they were completely immersed in a task, they worked really fast, they were stronger if they were athletes or sports people. The quality of what they did was better. Essentially, they were going way beyond what they thought was possible in terms of what they could achieve while they were doing it. So if flow is a particular moment of one of these states, what I call momentum is when day after day you start to chain together these peak states. And there's a number of people on my program who have done this. It does not last forever. One of the important things to understand about flow is that you need to be stuck before you can get into it. Not every time, before every moment, but in order to get into that momentum, sometimes the flow will only happen as a result of the things that you do when you're stuck. So there is an ebb and flow to flow. You're not always going to be in a state of flow, but this is one of the things I'm telling people all the time within Start Now, Finish Fast, which is it's okay when you're stuck. That's fine. That is part of the process. You are never going to be in a situation where everything always is magically easy, but that's okay. It's part of the process. So when people start talking about peak states of human effectiveness and achievement and all of these kinds of things, a lot of folks tend to think, well, I don't think it's possible at all. It seems a little bit out there and not real. But the thing is, there has been a lot of research done on this, scientific, peer-reviewed research done on this. First of all, by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. If you want to learn more about this peak state, he wrote a book a couple of decades ago, I think now, called Flow. I've read it a few times. I've used it a lot in my life and to help other people. And now there's been a lot more research done since then. There's a whole kind of movement around flow. If you look up online a new book that just came out a couple of months ago, called The Rise of Superman by Stephen Kotler. He's mainly talking about extreme athletes, people like who do snowboarding and surfing, that kind of thing mainly. But it is applicable in all walks of life. Plus, McKinsey, the big management consultant, did a 10-year study of top executives. And they found that on average, when these executives were in flow, they were on average 5 times more productive. But they also found that most people only spend less than 5% of their time in flow. So just think about it. If these executives are 5 times more productive when they're in flow, this means that if they go into work on a Monday and they're in flow, they get the whole of their week's work done in that one day. And they can essentially get a month's work done in 4 days. It is quite extraordinary. And remember, this isn't just about speed or productivity. This is about doing your best work as well, quickly, much quicker than you do your not so good work. Your learning increases, your ability to take in information increases, and also use it and assimilate it. So for anybody who is wanting to learn more music production, getting better at music production, this state is the ideal state to find yourself in. plus your creativity explodes. Because what creativity is, in essence, is a mental process your brain uses to overcome problems. And in some studies, it's been shown that this ability, when in a peak state of flow, is increased by 7 to 10 times. That's 700% to 1,000% more creative. And you're probably now thinking, but I mean, the people who enter this peak state of flow must be, amazing people. They must be Superman. I mean, that book I was talking about, The Rise of Superman, doesn't help with this kind of idea, this kind of conception. Well, I can guarantee you that I'm no Superman. I can guarantee you that I'm exactly the same as anyone else. I wasn't born to be this super effective individual, and quite often I'm not super effective. I'm just like you. But I've experienced this state, and it is quite extraordinary. It's one of the most rewarding, fulfilling, exciting, and states you can be in. And if you don't believe me, then believe some of the people I'm going to show you now. Just a couple of people I'm going to show you now. There's a guy who's been on Start Now Finish Fast called Steve. Now you can find his video. I did an interview with him, and on my YouTube channel. So do a search for how to have the most productive 3 weeks ever in the studio. And you'll find him. It's in the case studies area of my YouTube channel. And he said, it's been the most productive 3 weeks I had ever. It's really been fantastic. I was just waiting for it to end because it was just too good. Every time I sat down in my studio, I would just have awesome days. And that is him basically describing chaining together these peak states of flow. Plus, if we move on to another story, this is Tristan, this is on the Make Music Your Life forum. And he posted this back in December 2013. He said, I somehow managed to write this tune in about 9 to 10 hours, and I started it only about 30 hours ago. I have little to do, but I've done as much as I can wearing headphones. I'm sure there'll be a few surprises in store for me once I get back to the studio and through the monitor speakers. That is a whole lot faster than 3 months to learn about the same. I did just get some new good sample packs which made it way easier and recycled a couple of sounds I'd already made. Quickest and best track I have ever written. I am starting to wonder if I'm going to wake up and realize that SNFF, Start Now Finish Fast, is just a dream, because this is a little incomprehensible for me. I also realize that sometimes it will go like this, and other times there will be just slogging away. Now, he's since then done an update to this post, and he says, forgot to change the link, but here's the track. It ended up taking about 14 hours or so to finish. It's actually interesting to see this featured in your video, Mike, because that actually seems like quite a long time to finish a tune now. So, as you can see, this peak state of flow is experienced by people who didn't think they could do it. It seemed incomprehensible to Tristan, but similarly now, a few months on, he's seeing what he did at that moment when he was incomprehensible as being pretty easy. It is incredible how much we limit ourselves in what we think we can achieve, because we all have this ability within us. I mean, just last week I had a comment. There was a comment on the forum, somebody posting a track. I don't want to share it with you in public because I haven't asked him if that's okay, but he's just finished 8 tracks in a month, and he thinks those tracks are his best work. But he's not sure they're his best work because he almost can't believe that he's doing it. This is what is possible when you achieve this peak state of flow and you chain these together to create this feeling of momentum, this state of momentum. In fact, largely what I teach in Start Now Finish Fast, and also what I'm teaching you here, of course, is largely to help you create those conditions in your life, in your creative process, in your music making process, where you are more likely to experience these states of flow. I mean, I've already talked about daily practice. Obviously, you can't chain together these states of flow unless you're doing it regularly. It's not going to work. You're not going to build that momentum. So that's the first thing. Plus, doing it regularly, this daily practice creates progress. It creates a feeling of momentum, that progress, moving forward. And also, when you do it daily, you start to just naturally increase that level of challenge. And one of the things that brings on this state of flow is that you're operating just above your current level of ability. You're challenging yourself. I think it's around 4% above what you can before. But then the other thing to bear in mind is that the features of the flow state. So you're hyper-focused. It's like time stands still. You don't really notice what's going around. You can get into it and be completely lost in it for hours, and it seems like minutes. I'm sure you've experienced sometimes like that. The speed at which you create, that's another feature of this flow state. It's huge. It's much huger than you think is possible, and you make fast decisions. All of these things are features of the flow state. But what I've found is that it's actually a two-way street. If you are hyper-focused, if you practice focus, if you produce quickly, if you make fast decisions, then you are more likely to get into that flow state as well. It goes both ways. This is why I teach what I teach. This is why Start Now, Finish Fast teaches what it teaches, or one of the reasons it teaches what it teaches. And this is why I want you to take the steps I've talked about already in this video series. Focus, daily practice, making fast decisions, and now concentrating on building that unstoppable momentum. So that's it for today. We're on to step 6 tomorrow. There's a link on this page to sign up for my free training video series to find out more about my approach and Start Now, Finish Fast, of course. So until then, onwards and upwards. Just finish it already. I'm sure it's good enough.